So today we have with us Randall, and what's funny is I met Randall, Brian, and Alex all at the same time. Brian and Alex had already known each other. We all met up in Moab. We stayed at Randall's house, and we all rode for that weekend. Like the whole Moab trip, we were all together. And we're going to be talking about positive stuff on the trails. So I'm going to kick it off with the guy who stubbornly keeps a really old mountain bike running. And I saw one just the other day at the trails. He had like an experimental Cannondale. Like I'm talking like from that like 1997, 1999 era where like they made full suspension frames and all sorts of weird like wishbone shapes. And he must have spent enough to get like a carbon trail bike to keep this thing running over the last like 20 years or whatever. You don't do something like that for show. You don't do something like that to have the latest and greatest stuff. You do that because you love your bike.
That is such a good one because we are all obsessed with the next thing and, get a new bike every year. And I agree with that 100% when I see somebody on an old school bike and it works. It still works. Just get out and ride. Like that is the number one thing that matters.
Yeah, I still keep one of those old bikes running, but perhaps it's because I need to ride it more. It's a 1998 full suspension, like some old Specialized that's exactly like that.
What kind of parts have you changed on it?
At one point, the frame actually sheared right where the seat tube goes into one of those weird frames. Well, I let one of my friends weld the seat post back onto it, and so it was a fixed seat height mountain bike that he could use for college.
That's probably the opposite of a dropper post, actually. The exact opposite of a dropper post. Over the course of, let's say, 10 years, you have two options. You either keep your bike running for that 10 years and keep replacing parts, or, let's say, every 5 years, you just sell that bike with the old parts, and you take that money and you put it towards a new bike. So which one is going to be better for your money?
You know, Jonathan Lee from the MTB podcast, he does this, but he does it every year. Like he keeps his bike meticulous. I think he puts like an Invisiframe or, some kind of frame guard on his bike. And the way he runs it is just every year, get a new bike and just get it. If you can keep it cherry and you can get it on Pink Bike and sell it and take good pictures. And I think it is something where you can kind of break even and get your fun out of it and move along.
I actually was the kind of person that would keep upgrading a bike and running it into the ground. But obviously now with the YouTube channel, I have access to bikes, so it's different, and
it is.
And I like it. Believe me, I like riding brand new bikes and stuff, but I was the kind of person that would just keep upgrading old bikes. And really, if you completely screw up your derailleur or your drivetrain gets all worn out and old, I would rather just upgrade that and have a bike that I love, that fits me, that I'm used to, and ride it if that's the only thing wrong with it.
My policy is that I have to earn any sort of upgrade. And so some of this, if your parts are wearing out, that means that you're really earning it. I need to make sure that I'm like advancing my skills or that I'm really sort of using it because there's always a temptation to get the newest and greatest thing, and all of us love shopping and like buying stuff, like especially if it's gear stuff. Getting that new Amazon package is just it's like Christmas, and it only takes a day or two to get.
I don't even remember what I ordered anymore when the box comes.
It just comes and it's like Christmas in July every day. It's not so much about the cost; it's much more about like recognizing that I've earned that, and that's how I like keep myself motivated. So. It's always cheaper for me to keep the crappier bike. If your suspension fork breaks, you can always go find some beater fork that you can put a lot of time and effort into putting on the bike. But I think it makes sense to think about, how much did you earn it? And if you earned it, then by all means, go for that upgraded bike, and because you're really you're at the level where you're going to make the most of it.
So Brian, what's your thing that you like on the trails?
One of my favorite things is to see the normal guy or gal like on their first ride, where you could tell their clothes are a little too normal. They're super out of breath. They're like dying on the trail. They've got like probably a hand-me-down bike, but like the guy you talked about, Seth, they're out there. They're just out there riding. It's like we were all there that first time on the trail. And that is like where the seed is planted of either you hate this and you're never going to do it again, or you keep going. And I just love seeing that person in that struggle, like where we all started. It's great.
I saw this woman the other day, but she was on like a hybrid bike, like the kind of bike with a suspension seat post. Yeah, the big fat suspension seat post and the slope back frame and the little tiny shocks in the front and the handlebars like this. And she was blasting through the fire roads and the green trails, and you can tell she was like getting her fitness on, but really exhausting the capabilities of this bike. I mean, the tires were just not right. So she couldn't have been too deep into it at that point, because she would have broken something already the way she was riding. She was going fast.
Just catching the bug.
Yeah, it had to have been her second or third ride or something, because something's going to break on this thing. Yeah. But she's having fun. So, it was pretty delightful to observe. Yes. I forgot when it was, but it was a few months ago. I was at the Fat Tire Festival in Tampa. And there are some pretty good trails there. And the Fat Tire Festival is where they have tons of demo bikes. So I invited some of my relatives on my wife's side of the family over, my in-laws. So this is the first time they ever rode like really, really good bikes with the suspension, and they ask you your weight, and they set up the suspension correctly, and they set up the seat, and the guy hooks you all up and says, okay, go out on the trails. And they had a blast. And, we went on kind of greens and blues and stuff like that, and really wore them out. And it was their first time actually being out on a mountain bike and going up and down hills and riding over rocks and stuff. And they just loved it. And it really is fun to see somebody enjoy that for the first time.
Is there any way that subscribers could find out where they can go to the local demo bike experience?
I think the best bet is to find a company that you're kind of into. Like, okay, I'm digging Yeti bikes. So you go to the Yeti page, and then they'll usually have like a schedule of demo events. And then from there, be like, oh, what is the Sea Otter Classic? And you kind of Google that, or what is this? And you can see where their tour goes. And then usually if they're on a tour, maybe some other bike companies will be at bigger events together.
If you're on the fence about really taking mountain biking seriously and putting down some money on a bike, and you don't know whether it's for you yet, go to one of those events and take out some crazy bikes and see if it really makes a difference. If you say, this isn't really big difference, then why spend the money?
Yeah, it's like you're driving your crappy 1987 Ford Escort, and then you go to like a racetrack and drive a Ferrari, and you're like, I think I like Ferraris. I think they feel pretty good. I think I would like to get into this.
This car feels great. So, Randall, what's the thing that you like on the trails?
The huge feeling of satisfaction I have at the very end of a ride, where I can then go and eat whatever I want. So like when you guys were in Arkansas, I wish Alex was here, because he was the one who ate that crazy burger. Like, what was that thing? It was like 2 grilled cheese sandwiches on top of each other, and
it was like the grilled cheese sandwiches were the bread.
Yes.
And the burger was inside of 2 grilled cheese sandwiches.
Yeah.
So if you've gone for a 20-mile ride, you've burned like a good 1,000 calories. Like you've really put in the time. And so again, kind of like with upgrading your bike, I feel the same way with the food. If I've earned it, then I've earned it. Maybe it's not so good on my arteries, but it
is what it is, man.
It's motivation. So
guilt-free gluttony.
And the thing is it's not so much just about being able to eat whatever you want, but at the very end of the ride, it just tastes so good because you're hungry.
So at the end of a ride, when you go to get food, there's ratings that you can give food, what I would call mountain bike food places, right? And there's a whole bunch of criteria that you should consider. So obviously one of them is how good the food is and the price and stuff like that. Proximity to the trailhead, how easy it is to see your bike. Because some places you got to park your car around the back, leave the bikes in the rack. Some of the places you can park it in the front, you see it out the window. Other places, you're sitting outside and your bike is right there. You can roll right up to it. They're all, and whether the place is cool with you just walking in covered in mud. So there's all these criteria that make a place like a good mountain bike food. What kind of place, do you guys have like favorite mountain bike food places and the trails that you visit the most?
Oh yeah, there's definitely a Mexican food place that I go to all the time after I ride Rockville and Fairfield. This place called Palayo's that is awesome. Just
how does it rank in all those categories?
So not great because you can't see your bike. So you basically have to bring the lock. Very casual. So you go up to the counter and order, and then they bring you your food instead of having a waiter and all that, which I hate. So that's a huge bonus. Coming in there covered in mud and sweaty, acceptable, but probably not the best. But the food is great. So the food is what matters most.
You know what's funny, Randall, is so you said the feeling that you get after you're done with your ride, so you can just eat anything you want. And a lot of people would say, well, I like the feeling of accomplishment after I'm done with my ride, or I like the feeling, of achievement, or that I just exercised. That's where my head's at too. I'm never going to be like Brian. I'm never going to be like a super lean, fit mountain biker. Whatever, man. Maybe that's how I can take the falls. I got a little bit of padding.
Definitely.
Hey, you know what else? So you know what else I really like on the trails it's in the same category. It's a type of person that you see out there with a fully rigid. And I see it all the time, like a rigid 29er single speed or something, and they're just out on trails that I shouldn't say they shouldn't be out there, because if they're out there, then they should be out there. But I'm saying, like, I wouldn't want to take a rigid 29er on that trail, and they're out there killing it.
Well, they're just raising the difficulty level. Maybe what you don't realize is that they're just badass, and they're doing great.
They'll let you know that they're a badass. That's how. That's like, how do you know someone rides a single speed? They'll tell you within the first 5 minutes of meeting them.
Yeah, that's right.
True.
They will tell you.
And I still like them, even though they're rubbing it in your face. I still like them because they've earned it.
Yep.
It is badass. It is badass to ride a single speed, and it is badass to ride a rigid. That'll give you some bike control.
Yeah.
And momentum management. Because
on
a single speed, you don't want to use the brakes unless you absolutely have to, because it's expensive to accelerate.
Yeah, I'd love to take an old rigid on the Porcupine Rim, see how it goes, because that's what people were riding, 20 years ago and 30 years ago. It'd be so interesting.
It can be really fun and surprisingly not as harsh as you would expect it to be.
I think if Alex were here, he would say nature. Like, he just loves being out in the peaceful. And this is what I love. So one of the reasons I really love desert mountain biking, there's this particular trail near where I grew up in southern Utah. But I get out there and I stop, and it is completely silent.
It's insane, almost disorienting silence.
Yes.
Like you're in one of those crazy chambers where, like, you have an out-of-body experience,
Yeah, exactly. Well, because, no sound does bounce back, right? Like, it just goes off.
Brian, you're like me. Whenever you're out, you're working. You have to worry about the gimbal, you're changing batteries, data management. You have your mind on everything but soaking in the ride. Do you ever get the chance to really soak those things in? Are there things that you kind of get to enjoy on every ride?
I can. It does still happen. Like a couple of days ago in Sedona, I just went out by myself. So if I'm by myself, I can still get that contact. I can still, lose the work atmosphere for a little while and do it. And like you guys were saying, the silent thing that happened in Sedona a couple of days ago. I was like, whoa, this is completely silent, like crazy silent. Even with the road isn't that far away, and I love it. I love the whole nature connection. It's something I love. And even you guys talking about this, I keep thinking of this trail called Comfortably Numb in Whistler, which is a trail where you just go out and just so alone. And that's what's funny to me. Even when you're hiking, like in Yosemite, you get out a couple miles, it's so packed at the trailhead. There's so many people. It's just ridiculous. Any kind of, popular trailhead, mountain bike, hiking. But you get out a couple miles, you get out there an hour, you basically have it all to yourself. You'll see people here and there, but it's pretty magnificent thing how getting out there just a little bit further, you've got it all to yourself.
Yeah, so I'm actually going up to Asheville tomorrow night, and I'm going to ride with some friends that rented a house up there. I'm probably going to meet up with Phil. Then Phil and I are going to drive back down to Ocala, Florida to the Fat Tire Festival, and there's going to be all sorts of stuff going on down there. I mean, Clint Gibbs is going to be down there. Alex is coming. I don't know if he's going to ride. I don't know if his shoulder is well enough yet. Orange Bikes is going to be down there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And I already committed to doing this double. That's big for me. Like back in my BMX days, I would have done it, but I haven't done anything that big on a mountain bike yet. Phil's going to coach me through it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'd be a good video.
So that's going to be fun. But anyway, thanks for joining us today on the Huck, and we'll see you next time.
Let's get the Huck out of here.
Let's get the Huck out of here.